Welcome to Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. You are going to hear the stories from the eclectic life of a guy who is a professional counselor, a family man, a SWAT team chaplain, outdoor enthusiast, a guy involved with ropes, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, a chaotic Jedi, and who is a recipient of an honorary doctorate from the University of Adversity. Using these stories, we take the facts lead to concepts, and from the concepts we make a variety of life applications. Just a caveat about the facts. Most of the time we will tell you the facts just the way it happened, but once in a while we'll give you the facts the way other people remember how it happened, and that usually includes a tablespoon of embellishment. No harm is meant, just good, clean fun for educational purposes. Please subscribe and share this with your friends. As always, we thank you for keeping up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Faulkner University introduces the Master of Arts in Christian Counseling and Family Ministry. Many youth ministers are not well prepared for the complex challenges facing youth, parents, and families today. This program is not designed to fulfill any requirements toward becoming a licensed counselor, but it is designed to equip the career youth and family minister to do just that, minister to families, by integrating prevention-oriented counseling skills and intervention strategies within a church setting. The courses include, but are not limited to, counseling skills, counseling couples and families in crisis, family dynamics, human intimacy and sexuality, parent and character education, as well as church assessments. All courses may be completed online from the convenience of your home or workplace and at the time that fits your schedule. Most courses are only 8 weeks long. There is a 60% tuition discount for members of the Churches of Christ. Visit the website faulkner.edu/KGST. KGST stands for Curley Graduate School of Theology. That's faulkner.edu/KGST, or contact Jimmy Holland, Director of Biblical Studies Recruiting, at jholland, HOLLAND, jholland@faulkner.edu with any questions or to find out about the eligibility requirements for the tuition discount. Faulkner University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. The Garmin GPS showed the road ending in the water. Yes, I said Garmin GPS, as in stick a hard plastic disc to the dash of your car with some adhesive that Wile E. Coyote would have bought from Acme, and then use a suction cup, yes, a suction cup, and mount a miniature TV screen to your dashboard, punch in the address, and then try to follow it. This was before cell phones. And so the verbal directions given to me by the camp director had also included, and if you drive into the water, you have gone too far. I was speaking at a men's retreat in extreme LA, that's Lower Alabama. And the fact that I was using a GPS tells you how long ago this was. This is the primitive technology of the Garmin GPS. And in certain parts of the country, depending on where you bought your GPS, you had to buy extra maps. I got out west one time, out into the Midwest, and the message was, you don't have the maps for this. Well, at this time, I was young, I was uninjured, and I was running 3 or 4 days a week. I got up on that Saturday morning at the retreat site, plugged in my iPod, placed my earphones connected to my iPod by a wire into my ears, and started jogging. I intended to jog until Dire Straits had sang the song Your Money for Nothing 2 times, and then I'd turn around and jog back. You see, there were no GPS watches. There were no running apps. There was nothing on your phone or nothing you could buy to tell you such things as how far you'd gone, how fast you'd gone, or when to turn around. In those days, you ran till you saw a mile marker, you guesstimated the distance, or you drove your vehicle out to scout the path and looked at the odometer to tell you how far you're going to run. Money for Nothing is 8 minutes and 22 seconds long, 16 minutes and 44 seconds to run 1.6 miles. And so I run out 1.6 miles listening to Money for Nothing. And ideally, I'd turn around and had run actually further than 1.6 miles because I had a better pace than that. And then you turn around and you run back, and I listen to the shuffled playlist with anything on it from the 1970s theme from the SWAT show. I like to listen to Pink Floyd's Run Like Beep. Particular fan of Lunatic Fringe, Rod Stewart's Forever Young, Bob Seger's Night Moves, Copperhead Road, or a song by a fictitious band that was in a movie called On the Dark Side. Lunatic Fringe is a particular favorite running song due to that it is the anthem from a particular movie called Vision Quest. Now, I watched Vision Quest back when TV edited things for language and nudity. I'm not endorsing that movie or recommending that you watch it. When I watched it, it was edited. I have the poster in my garage because the wrestling journey of this kid in Vision Quest, when he does his extreme workouts, you hear in the background the song Lunatic Fringe. I was on my way out. As I was jogging, plodding my way outward, I ran into an older gentleman from the same retreat. And he was running back in. I was running out. He had started running earlier than I had, not just on this day, but in his life. And so we stopped for a minute and talked. He said he'd been a marathoner, but one of the neatest things he'd ever done as a runner was he had run 2 miles in all 50 states. That planted a small seed in my mind. And so every place that I've ever been, every place that I've ever visited, every place that I've ever spoken to that was a new state for me, I've tried to get out and go for at least a 2 or a 3 mile little trot or a jog. The list added up. And by the time I got into 2026, I'm halfway to my goal because I'd already run in Alaska and Hawaii. And so really, I'm just looking for the connected lower continental United States. So this year, Jackie and I were both invited to speak in a place in extreme eastern Kentucky. It's an event called Oath. It was created by Craig Ratliff. Jackie was going to go speak to the girls and the ladies. I was going to speak to the men and the boys and then speak to the entire congregation at some point. And it was Jackie's 60th birthday weekend. And she said, hey, as long as we're that far east, why don't we leave when we leave Kentucky and go up and see Acadia National Park? Maybe drive into Canada and visit the Bay of Fundy. I found a little Airbnb or a little cabin in Maine that we can stay at in this little intercoastal bay. And I mentioned, it'd be neat that if we ended up in some of the states where I had not run, that maybe I could get out and get a few states added to my list. Now, I haven't been a very steady or a very successful runner since surgery number 5. I just kind of fell off and I struggle with my running. And I'm still pretty much in denial that running is no longer a part of who I am. But I decided if we got into a state where I had not run, I might go ahead and try to run. I travel for work, so travel for fun is not extraordinarily appealing to me. But Jackie decided she could fix how appealing this trip was going to be for me, and she got all organizationally obsessive and began to plan what I call the Great New England Running Tour. Complete transparency. I'm not summiting any mountain peaks. I did not complete the Appalachian Trail. And once I accomplished this minor goal, the goal of running at least 2 miles in every state, if I ever do it, the total mileage, even if I run, like 3 miles in each state, to be about 150 miles and some change. I know guys who run 150 miles every month. And so probably instead of calling it the Great New England Running Tour, it should be called the Meh New England Running Tour. But such as it is a goal of mine, be it a minor goal or not. Now, I've been struggling with my running, not only in consistency, but in the actual execution of such. And I would come back in and complain about my legs hurting or this muscle cramping up or this thing locking up, or get up the next day and say that, hey, that run yesterday hurt me. And Jackie would say, well, you just don't need to run. Why don't you just swim? Why don't you just walk? But now that she's got the view of the Great New England Running Tour, she's all about being my manager and my trainer. The trip that she has planned, complete with consulting Chat GPT, spans 10 days, 14 states, and Canada. Of the 14 states, there are 8 of which I have not yet run in. And the problem with letting your wife be your New England running tour planner is that your wife is not a runner. And so she meets me with this printed 35 pages of itinerary and says, so Monday morning, you'll run in Delaware. That afternoon, you can run in New Jersey. And then when we start for the evening, that is 6 or 9 miles in one day. I've been lucky to run 3 miles 3 times a week. And now she's got me running that in one day. Oh, here's a place you can run across the state line, and you can get Rhode Island and Connecticut in the same run if you run 2 miles on each side of the bridge. I'm writing this on a Wednesday. The Great New England Running Tour started on Monday, and I've run 5 states in 3 days. So we left Kentucky. We drove all day Sunday afternoon to spend the night in Newark, Delaware. My friend and former SWAT cop John Troiano, who lives up there, gently reminded me that Delaware and New Jersey are not New England states, but they do qualify as states I've not run in, so I've included them in the New England Running Tour. I got up at 6 a.m., and my iPhone had an address for Leatherman's Run Park. The Great New England Running Tour starts out with a trail known as the Lonnie Jones Corporate Espionage Trespasser Loop. You see, where my faithful iPhone took me was not Leatherman's Run Park, but rather Leatherman's Run Park. Pauses are our friends. Leatherman's Run, actually spelled Lethermen, is actually a small creek. That's what they call creeks up there. It is a run. And Leatherman's Run is a small creek that runs through some recreational facilities, complete with a private corporation's tennis courts, pool, fake coyotes to scare away either the geese or the trespassers, warning signs, and a private security force. Was the New England Running Tour doomed to end before it began? Would this security guard prevent my run? Private security. Read that as rent a cop and cute little cars. I've evaded campus security for years, rappelling out of and climbing back into the dorms at a private school in Arkansas who does not sponsor this podcast and shall remain unnamed. So how hard could it be to evade these guys? These guys in the cute little security cards, they're either dudes my age who are no longer active or very young guys who have never been active. And on top of my campus security escape and evasion training, I've been running and hiding from a SWAT team for over 30 years. After all, I came here to run. A little motivation, a little skin in the game was going to be great for me. So a brisk, clandestine 2 miles later, the Great New England Running Tour had begun, and the security guards at Leatherman's Run Park were inconsequential to stifling my efforts. Leatherman's Run Park. Leatherman's Run Park. Words have meanings, and pauses are our friends. The internet will assure you that there is a park by that name that has lovely trails and scenic byways. I'm sure it's a fabulous place, but the place where my iPhone took me was not a run park. I ran down an abandoned road that could have been featured in the scene of The Walking Dead. I ran over a small stream and in and out and around a campus complex of buildings, complete with a pool, tennis courts, pavilion, some kind of school, construction, maintenance people, fake coyotes, warning signs about private use. You must have reservations to use, corporate headquarters, and rent-a-cops. And although it was called Leatherman's Run Park, and not Leatherman's Run Park, it is now a run park. Leatherman's Run Park just became Leatherman's Park and Run Park because I parked, I got out, and I ran in their park, and it became a run park, and then I got back in my car and I drove away. Now, you might say you did not make it a run park just because you ran there. Okay, keep telling yourself that. And along with that, just go ahead and remind us, I'm not that kind of person, even though I just did that. We aren't that kind of family. We don't normally treat people that way. I don't talk that way. That's not who I am. I normally don't behave that way. If someone runs in your park, is it a run park? How you behave, and to some extent, what we allow to happen in our park has a profound effect on what our park is used for, seen as, and the label that it bears, either to other people or to ourselves. Either explicit or implicit beliefs. And we don't always have control over what happens in our park, but we have the agency so that we can control how we respond to what happens in our park. That's why whatever you're using as security needs to be better than fake coyotes, cute signs, feckless guards, guardians, or ineffective barriers. Because you have to decide what your park is made for. You see, what happens in your park is pretty much seals the deal as to who you are, and what your life is used for, regardless of the emphasis you place on the words, the order that you put the words in, or where your pauses are inserted. Now, I will add that in spite of the great philosophical question that Scotty Widener asked, it's not what happens in your park once, but what you continue to do or allow to happen that defines your purpose and the purpose of your park. And it's probably all about the pauses. Is it Leatherman's Run Park or Letterman's Run Park? It really is about the pauses, and the things that give us pause in our lives are those things that, if not heeded or are not responded to properly, can and will define or redefine our purpose. The good folks at the run park can beef up security. They can build better fences or be more explicit about the purposes of the park and who is to use it. And if they do that, then it will never be used as a run park again, or at least everybody will know that running in the park is not an approved activity in Leatherman's Run Park. Once you pause, or don't pause, at the appropriate place, once you give emphasis or don't emphasize the proper thing, the meaning you give to your life and the purpose you give to your life could be radically altered, and if not actually altered, at least misinterpreted.